Good morning, dear Dharma friends. Since I don't have a Buddhist outfit, I've always felt inadequate around my teacher friends who have their robes and their special things they wear. So I've decided to allow my special, this comes from my Catholic childhood actually, my special appearance to be visible. And not for long. I'm learning how to use this new computer. It's got lots of bells and whistles and power. All right, we'll get rid of this. Easy come, easy go. Good morning. Looks like we get another day. At least we get another morning. There. I've forgotten recently to announce that I am station identification. This is Robert Beatty, a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community from Beaverton, Oregon. And you can connect with PIMC at portlandinsight.org. And the robertbeatty.com website has lots of good stuff on it too, helpful. So, no rain this morning. My little dog is in his place. I did an interview for a fellow who does education mostly for ER docs, but I'll give you the link to that when it emerges. But I tried using my drum for the first time, or the second time. I tried using my drum once at the beginning of this COVID adventure, and it really didn't work. But I think with everything the way it is now, it worked pretty well. So I've been missing it, so I want to try it. Is that overwhelming or too? It's good? All right. So maybe 25 years ago, I ran into a poem. It was when I was teaching at a drug and alcohol treatment center. And that became my kind of introductory poem for public offerings for some years. It goes like this. It's from Kabir, 15th century Sufi mystic. The small ruby that everyone wants has fallen out in the road. The small ruby that everyone wants has fallen out in the road. Some say it lies to the east of us. Others say to the west of us. Some say in deep waters. Others say in primitive earth rocks. Kabir's instinct told him that it was inside and what it was worth. So he wrapped it carefully in his heart cloth. The small ruby that everyone wants has fallen out in the road. Some say it lies to the east of us. Others say to the west of us. Some say it's in power, money, children, music, vacations, gated communities. Others say It's in primitive earth rocks. Kabir's instinct told him that it was inside. Kabir's instinct told him that it was inside. Kabir's instinct told him that it was inside. So he wrapped it carefully in his heart cloth. Let us wrap ourselves in our heart cloth. I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I am. And given the instability of life, not just the instability of political systems, not just the instability of relationships, of health, of the food supply, but the very instability at the core of our being, how everything is changing constantly. So we wrap this truth of our existence in love, meaning there's room for everything. And with this instability comes disappointments and struggle and challenge. I aspire, when I encounter that dukkha, to hold myself in sweet compassion. What would it be for you to hold yourself in sweet compassion? What would that mean in practice? And so we gather with our Dharma friends, our friends on the journey, we take a comfortable upright posture as humans have done now for thousands of years. Ever since Siddhartha Gautama experienced his breakthrough, his awakening, and then spent over 40 years helping other people have the same experience. Comfortably upright, and acknowledging that there is a body. And it sits here comfortably upright. It's alive. Along with this body comes consciousness. And with humans, there's this aspect of consciousness that could be called that which knows, the knowing faculty. And we strengthen this by choosing a home base, the breathing in and breathing out and coming back again and again, and attending to the actual sensations of the breathing. And we're not breathing in through the feet or the hands or the crown or anything like that. We're just an ordinary human breathing. Breathing like cows breathe and dogs breathe, naturally. And each breath is a manifestation of the truth of the universe. It has a beginning. It has a rising to fullness. It has a decline. And it vanishes. of course, in addition to there being a body, there are all the sense experiences that happen because the body has sensitive membranes, sensitive surfaces, sensitive nerve endings. It has a sense door that is open to and receptive to a special kind of stimulus, thoughts, memories, moods, plans, images. And this mind door also has representations of the senses, inward seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. In fact, it's here that the past exists, where the future exists. Most human beings have no idea that there's only now. But for the meditator, it becomes more and more obvious. We have the intention to stay with breathing, with the sensations of the body sitting here. And then whoosh, we're lost in the past. We're worrying about some fantasied future. And we're totally unaware of it. But with mindfulness, these phantasms become increasingly apparent. Awakening happens in the midst of wild wanting or disliking, opposing, or being aversive to something. In the midst of restlessness and agitation and worry. In the midst of sleepy, dull sloth and torpor. In the midst of skeptical doubt. And so mindfulness is also open to all the various activities of the mind. And so we climb into the hammock of the breath. Kabir's instinct told him it was inside. We discover the small ruby is inside. And we systematically set ourselves free from struggle and confusion and suffering. We learn to see thoughts as thoughts, body as body. And we do this all one breath at a time, one moment at a time. And the moment is quite simply now. In addition to the contents of the mind, thoughts, emotions, fantasies, wandering, mindfulness can observe the general disposition of the mind. Is this a mind which is easily concentrated? Or is it rather dispersed? Or extremely dispersed? Is this a mind of great trust and faith and ease at presence? Or is it maybe a mind of some uncertainty and a little flailing around, or a lot? Is this a mind strong in mindfulness? or very unaware, unconscious, unawake? Is it a mind that is filled with some emotion? Or is it simple presence abiding in now? It's remarkable how all this variety of experience becomes increasingly illuminated by sitting still, wrapping ourselves in our heart cloth, being loving, not in some smarmy way, not in some romantic way, but acknowledging there is room for everything in our true nature, in our mysterious capacity of presence. in the Vipassana practice, insight meditation. We're very curious about how things come and go, begin and end, and how the tensions that arise in mind due to liking and disliking are dukkha, challenge, stress, difficulty. We're very curious how the self, the experience of self, arises and passes away. And so there's an ongoing letting go of everything. There's another direction we can travel, which has to do with our imagination, with, in a way, creating realities with mind, not manifesting an orange in our hand, but imaginal realities. So in keeping with I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I am in this moment, please let yourself really inhabit the body. Feel it, know it, embrace it. It's here. And with another part of your awareness, of your consciousness, I invite you to imagine that you're somewhere in nature. Could be the beach, could be the mountains, could be anywhere you like. And it's in a way like you awaken from a dream, or maybe you are in a dream. Maybe you're in a familiar rocking chair going back and forth and back and forth. And you sense that off to one side or the other there's a path. And maybe you leave your backpack and any weight you carry right there. And then you discover yourself setting off on this path. And the path takes you through forests and fields. It's a beautiful sunny afternoon. And it's a very familiar path. You've been on it hundreds of times. Somehow it's brand new. And it turns into a country road. And you come along this country road and you do it for a short time or a long time, or just the right amount of time. And you come upon some fences that are going along paralleling the road. And you discover a familiar gate. And it's a gate that, interestingly, has a plaque on it with your name. And when you look closely, it's your name and the garden of your good intentions. And this, as you look over it, you discover that it's a field, a large field, filled with the most exquisite flowers you've ever laid eyes on. And you look closely and you see that there are iris and roses and nasturtiums and beautiful columbine. There are wildflowers and domesticated flowers in every color of the rainbow. Incredibly vivid reds and blues, and of course the whole background of green. And you read the sign again. There's your name, beautifully written. And it's old. It's been there a long time. And you have a certain sense of having been here many times, but maybe you can't quite remember. And you discover there's a nice latch. It's a good solid latch, but it operates well and easily. And you step inside, and it becomes even more familiar. And you realize somehow deeply, intuitively, that each of these flowers is the flowering of some action that you've taken in the past, rooted in love, compassion, and wisdom. This is the garden of your karma vipaka. How could there be so much beauty? Well, it's because you've planted a lot of fine intentions. And you look to your left or your right and you discover there's a beautiful picking basket. It's wicker, very nicely made, and there's also a beautiful pair of shears that you can cut things with. And so you reach over and you realize this is your picking basket. And you set off into your field. And you start picking. Perhaps sometimes you stop to smell flowers and to delight in the incredible aromas. And there are flowers that are fully open and some that are not yet open. There's a pond of lotuses. And as you go, you're reminded, oh, I did this, I did that. And if there's any sense of, oh, I haven't done any good in my life, notice that as just an impediment. It's just malware. Because look around you. It's vast. And so you pick. Maybe it's all one flower. Maybe it's a giant bouquet of irises, or maybe it's a few dozen roses. Or maybe it's a potpourri of all kinds of different flowers. Little tiny bluebells. And you fill your basket. And maybe you make several trips with your basket. And all the while you relax more and more into your goodness, into your kindness, into your beautiful aspirations. And then you're here again for a short time or a long time, or maybe just exactly as long as it takes, to fill your heart with your own goodness, to fill your basket with the fruits of your goodness. And you begin to head for the gate knowing it's time to head home, but also knowing you can come here anytime you want. Anytime you want. You can be here in a split second at the speed of thought. And so you come to the gate and you wrap up your flowers in just the right way. Maybe you have some way to keep their stems damp. You wrap them up in some nice twine. And you look back over your garden, and even though you picked as fully as you wanted, you can't even see what you took. You can see nothing missing. Such is the power of your prior karma. And so you put the basket back and the clippers back, and you open the gate and go out with your load of flowers that you're going to take and decorate your own home, give to friends, give to everybody you want, as fully, as completely as you'd like. Oh. Ha. Well, that was interesting. Those of you on Facebook and YouTube, you can make your way home. Find your way. Find your way and take these beautiful gifts with you. And have a wonderful day with it. And my computer is now rebooting. I'll go back into the other meeting. And you take your load of flowers and you have ideas of who you want to give them to, how you'd like to distribute them. A kind look here, a kind word there. Maybe reaching out across some chasm of broken relationship. And especially remembering, keep some for yourself. Let your heart be filled. And now finding your way back to wherever you left your backpack. Down the road, along the path, and then discovering yourself here in your body in this moment in time and place. Notice your body grounded here in this time. You may not be able to see the flowers, but feel them and smell them all around you. The blossoming of your kind actions. And let this surround you all day in every interaction. Let it surround your moods, your activities, every interaction on your phone, on your email, interactions with children and partners and friends. Let it comfort your loneliness or any other unpleasant experiences you have. And keep planting. We have the choice to be loving, kind, generous. And the fruits are vast. And so now coming home to your body where it sits here, touches the chair, and bringing awareness to your eyes, your face, all in the context of this living body. And now making the intention to allow your eyes to open. And let them open. And see with the eyes of blessing, the eyes of one who has gardens full of flowers in their own karmic history. What riches you bring to the world. Don't be fooled by what you think of as your small little nature. Don't be brainwashed by the personality. We are each manifestations of the vast, unimaginable universe. So I just want to open it up to your sharing this morning. And I don't know if you noticed, but there was a silence there near the end when my computer crashed completely. The people on YouTube and Facebook watched the whole thing. But it came back, and I am having help to come tomorrow to see why that happens. But I'm glad I got to get back in. So what's up with you? How are you today? Sherry Peterson says, I thought it was mine. Isn't that the way we go? Funny. It goes a bright purple when it does that. Before it goes. Oh, I wonder if I have my sound on. Oh, yeah, maybe. Jim, could you say something?
I can hear you.
I got sound. Thanks. Hello, Emily.
I just want to make a quick announcement. The Racial Justice Group met last night, and we decided to move our monthly net, which was going to be next Wednesday on Inauguration Day, to the following Wednesday, the 27th, from 6 to 7 p.m. on Zoom, just because, given the events that have occurred, we want to make sure that it's a day where the most people feel drawn to participate and hold space for the organization we'll be honoring, which is Taking Ownership PDX, which is working to keep Black homeowners in their homes in Portland. So I'd love to see you there. I'll drop the registration link in the chat.
Thank you, Emily. I'm smiling because I forgot to put on my computer glasses. It's much easier with them. They're much clearer. And I remembered I'm living with a teenager, and he's being a teenager. He's a lovely young man, and sometimes he's kind of off the wall. And I just remembered how I sort of felt disdain for my father, that he had 3 pairs of glasses that he carried with him and put by the. It's like, it's so extreme. Why doesn't he just wear 1 pair? I have 2 with different levels of focus, but there's this strange, weird, ridiculous arrogance somehow that there was something wrong with him because he needed different glasses. How odd. Be very interesting to have a conversation with my dad now. I'd like to do that. He's been gone about 25 years. And he was really gone before he was gone, because alcoholism, as I wrote a poem one time, it's the beast ate him from the inside out. So I guess it would be an earlier rendition of my dad I'd like to talk to, or maybe the conscious dad behind all that alcoholism. That's who I'd like to talk to. And of course the main conversation would be thank you.
Good morning, Robert and Sangha. This is Karen.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Karen.
Hi. Well, first I just wanted to say that with your dad and the glasses, it sounds like a poem start to me, the 3 pair of glasses.
Ha! Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
But I also wanted to just thank you for the good intention visual. I thought that was, I really fell into that. I mean, I had my path, and I think it's hard for me to think about my good intentions, but when I got into this garden and started seeing all the flowers just sort of sprouting up, it was a wonderful place to be. And I'm going to go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that.
You know, I heard years ago of a practice that they do in Thailand, particularly the lay people do, that at the end of the day, they reflect upon and sometimes write down 3 to 5 kind, generous actions that one did during the day. And then you reflect upon that as you go to sleep. And the intention is to have a life of greater happiness, but also that at the moment of death, that what comes to mind is not, oh, what a bad person I am. I shouldn't. We're so practiced at that. But whoa, look back over my life. Look at all the good stuff I did. It's a very very powerful practice.
I agree. It's so easy to be self-critical.
Mm-hmm. Right. I've done sometimes on retreats. I've done an exercise with. Please write down a list of your kind actions in the last few weeks, or maybe in your life, And people get 5 or 6 things. And then write a list of your failures and inadequacies. And they're busy typing for a week, which is absurd. Yeah. Thank you, Karen.
Hello, Robert.
Hello, Leanne.
Hello there. I was so transported by that experience, and prior to it, and most of the time, I'm not transported. I'm in my body and dealing with a lot of physical discomfort. And I don't know if you know of anybody who's written particularly well about dealing with physical discomfort. For me, it's been a real bane of meditation. You know, I have all the mind stuff to deal with too, but and it's not even, I mean, I do have chronic issues, but it's just itching and sinus pressure, and you know, I try to do the feeling the sensations, and then it's here and then it's there, and I gotta shift my body and then my neck, and it's like constant, much more of a obstacle. And I, you know, the aversion, the story, all of it, it's just such a big part of my experience with meditation over the years, and why I have, well, at least why I tell myself I have not done as much of it as I might think I wanted to.
I mean, you should have done more.
More meditating, definitely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
A whole acre of garden just flattened. All those poor flowers, they just go whack, right? Well, I'm thinking of a book. I don't know that I can put I gave it to my sister years ago, but also let me say this: at portlandinsight.org, there's under guided meditations. There's one called Pain Release, and another one called Spacious Mind or something. I forget what it's called. I did them 15 or 20 years ago, and I learned the practices from Stephen Levine, basically. And it's just what you were saying of turning toward it, embracing it, but there's a guided meditation there for pain, and that used to be the hottest link on the website, because I used to teach 3 times a year. I used to teach doctors. One group, it was always like a couple of hundred. And I would hand out a, go away, spam risk. I would give them a sheet, and on it had that link for their patients in pain. And it was really used a lot. And you ready for this? You should practice more. The more concentration you develop, which comes from cleaning up our moral and ethical behavior issues, and and maybe using a mantra, maybe commonly using on the in-breath, may I be happy, may all beings be happy. So a greater emphasis on concentration subdues or suppresses the aversion, the 5 hindrances. And there's a greater possibility of falling into the great ease which is possible with physical pain. I have an often told story of being pretty early in my practice. I was in Bodh Gaya in India practicing as a monk, and I got kidney stones. And I discovered that I had a conversion experience there. Actually, it was a transformative few days, because this pain would hit, bam, and I'd been in practice many hours a day, maybe 12 to 15 hours a day of practice for some weeks. And when I turned awareness toward the pain and just went into it, all the suffering went away. There was, in the mind, there was, oh no, I can't stand it, and all that was happening. I'm going to die in India. That was all happening, but there was no suffering. So that was a conversion moment. I'm trying to remember the name of this book. At the last teachers conference I was at 5 or 6 years ago, there was a woman from England who had written a book specifically about working with chronic pain. And I'll look it up today. And my sister, I know, has it or had it, so I'll try to find that and I'll announce it tomorrow. But it's there's something about itches, for instance. Itches which are common, ubiquitous. Right now, pay attention to your body. It's itching all over the place. Right? What about those, there's that ant crawling on your back right now. All of a sudden, all that, I have a place on my back that is chronically itchy. And there's a common experience that people have, and more often than not, it's on retreat, when one gets deeper than one has been before. And you get to this edge where every time you sit in meditation, there are these itches. And it drives you up a tree. It's like, oh. And the irritation builds, and you move, or you scratch. And then it's gone for 30 seconds, and then it builds. And then it builds, and it's like, oh. And then finally, it's not an uncommon conversation that I have with people. And my suggestion is, this next sitting, we're going to sit for an hour. Don't scratch. And something happens where it just gets to fever pitch, and it's serious. There's no pain to it, but it just gets, and then sometimes it just goes poof, and itching is never a problem again. And we see in that the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth, there's suffering. There's a cause of suffering, which is, I will not accept this. I will not. And it's not a volitional thing. It's really deep in us. But then through suffering it very consciously, nirvana occurs, which is the quenching of that suffering, because there's the quenching of wanting it to be different. But it's not a choice that's done cognitively. It's done way deep in us. So that's an invitation to come on retreat, I guess, too. It's a subtle, sneaky kind of marketing for retreats. Well, this meditation is powerful medicine. I mean, it's acting so deeply in our beings. So I hope that's a help. Try that meditation on the website, though. I should redo all of those. There's one there, the introduction to meditation. I think I was 12 when I did that. Not really, but it's a young voice. And if you listen really carefully with good stereo earphones, you can hear someone walk across the floor upstairs. It's quite cool. Someday I will record them new and...
Robert, I posted the links to the meditations in the chat.
Oh, you good man, David. Hooray. Thank you.
The anxiety and depression one I could probably recite from memory by this time.
Well, at least you're cured.
It's to the point where, when I meditate, when I hear your voice, my body has a response that says, oh, right. Your voice triggers the mind.
Thank you, Dr. Pavlov.
Oh yeah, and I drool.
Oh, I see. Oh, I do drool. As I've aged, my mouth, the corners of my mouth have gone down, and it's such a drag. Sometimes I'm playing my guitar and singing, and everything's going fine, and this drool happens. It's like, oh man, I should have created my recording career much earlier in my life. Well, anything else? Any other adventures in human being?
Okay, I guess I want to say something else. This is Leanne again.
Hi, Leanne again.
I think it's sort of, I'm as I'm sitting here reflecting, I think there's some things about, it's not so much pain, it's like physical discomfort in general. Like every time you say take a comfortably upright position, I get this wave of aversion, you know, like who's comfortable and upright? Like those are not compatible terms. There's a certain sort of like loneliness to it for me. When I'm sitting, I feel like that you, in your teaching, you reflect a lot about the hindrances and stuff. In the meantime, I'm like, you know, there's something poking into my shoulder, and then there's, you know, this ache, and especially in the morning, you know, as I've gotten older, but always, you know, just achy. This is like this sort of constant presence in meditation that feels like it's like I'm sitting here by myself with it, and I know I'm not, but it so permeates my experience of being here every day. So I just want to say that.
So that's that's an edge of your awakening that's getting brighter and brighter, clearer. And there is a way we are really here alone. We are alone in these bodies. We're responsible, you know, we wound up born some way or another, and you know, the classic list of dukkha, causes of dukkha, is birth, sickness, old age, decay, and death. And I didn't used to really notice the decay part of that, because I didn't think of it as my right hip is not. It takes a lot of maintenance, and for me not to have my legs just working. I mean, I was a mountaineer, and I mean, pretty high level athlete, pole vaulter, and it all just worked. And now I get up in the morning and getting that first step out of bed, it's like, geez, the hip is. And then if I can get myself to do it, it gets better. If I can do the yoga and so on. But you are. It sounds like you are coming up against the truth of dukkha in a more poignant way than ever before. And that's a moment when the encouragement to keep practicing really makes sense. Don't be discouraged. You may be very discouraged, in which case then you observe the discouragement. But it's a moment when the opportunity of awakening is really bright before you. And sometimes lie on the couch and meditate. Get in a hot tub and meditate. And do away with the various struggles that have to do with sitting up, and but then grant yourself as much postural ease as you can, and then spend an hour there.
Yeah, I'm big on flotation tanks. I love them.
And the aversion, fear, whatever the deep conditioning is in there, I have great faith that it will open up for you, and that not that the aches and pains are going to go away. I think they're going to get worse. That's what I'm noticing in my body. They're gradually. They're always there. They always were there, but they're there with greater vigor now. There's that old age isn't for the weak. But I think you're onto something really important in the awareness that you have of it. Oh, and also to notice the self-criticism that's there. I shouldn't be so attached to this, or to notice the anger. Funny, I just had a thought. Some people, I used to have anger at God, that it's not fair. There's a kind of, it's like, it's not fair, that it shouldn't be like this, and that's a way that we can avoid coming directly into contact with it. Bearing the suffering, bearing the dukkha as a wagon bears a load is the metaphor. That we learned it, like with the aches and pains and itches and so on, and also the emotional response to it, to bear that without flinching. And to see what opens. So I'm really appreciative of you sharing it, because it takes meditation way beyond stress management and health and well-being, into facing into the actual reality of human bodies, and they hurt from the very first second. I was saddened and appalled with my children when they were born, to see how much they hurt right from the beginning. And that was even before Luke got his first cold. He was, I don't know, 6 months or 8 months or something, and he got this terrible cold. And I had an experience I'd heard of, but I'd never experienced myself, which was that I would so have taken that illness on myself, and I felt so powerless. Here's this little kid rolling in snot and unhappy, and then he also early on he was quite colicky, and that screaming, that rageful screaming in the night, and whoa. And we have a lifetime of that. It's no wonder it's no wonder the alcohol line at Fred Meyer is 3 rows, and the rate of alcohol consumption in Oregon is up 100% since the beginning of COVID, and marijuana sales are up 70%. There's a lot of dukkha going on. And so here we are, we're giving up more and more of these distractions, of these ways of coping, and then we wind up sitting in our body upright, meditating with not even any music, for goodness sake. It's just me and my body. Whoa. It's enough to make a person wake up. I got to get out of here somehow. I think I'll wake up. So that's a lot. I hope that's helpful. Thanks for sharing it. I'm sure you. Let's have just a little quick show of hands. Who can relate to this? Yeah. Oh, Russell has 2 hands up. You always were an extremist, Russell.
Well, in that case, I just wanted to observe that as you were talking about how we hurt from the very first minute of birth, and which is quite true, I started laughing and I thought, well, aren't you just a bundle of joy this morning?
Right? Yeah, you're born, you suffer, you die. That's the way it is.
I want to thank Leanne for sharing, because I too contend with the ongoing discomfort of every day. The other day I just wanted to say, the other day I was bemoaning it to myself and thinking about, well, maybe if I do this or that, I won't be in such pain. And then it occurred to me, well, where did I ever get the idea I shouldn't be in pain? Where did that come from? And as I sort of settled in and just accepted that that's part of the deal, it didn't seem quite so nasty.
Hey, Robert.
I hear Tim.
Hi. Hey, just a reminder. I think there's a lot of wisdom in the Buddhist line. Born, get sick, suffer, die. But the other thing that happens is people die early, and that's pretty a lot of suffering involved there. So, and those of us that are getting old and dealing with getting older, it's like, well, how blessed I am to be this age and
Right.
to have these challenges and not to have died in my 20s or 30s or 40s. So just wanted to throw that in.
Right. Hooray for pharmaceuticals.
Anybody
Vaccines.
who's in their 20s and suffering a lot, I will tell you that I was suffering way more in my 20s and 30s than I am in my older body. So
Ah, yeah.
if you happen to be young and having physical pain, it can get better.
Right.
Here to report.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Hi, Robert. It's Allison.
Hello, Allison. I'm looking for you. Where are you? Oh, Allison, hi.
Hi. One thing that I learned from Ruth Dennison via Robert Beatty is to, well, first of all, for me, being in bed more than 6 hours is just too much. At my age, I just feel like my body has to be upright or moving around a little bit. And then sometimes I can go back. But what I did this morning at 4, when I woke up and couldn't go back and didn't feel real great, is the walking meditation. And it's very powerful. I could just light a candle in my living room and go back and forth and breathe with that. It made me feel better. And then after that, I did a little round of Qigong. And that was, that, to me, all that stretching and moving energy and breathing with it, it's just, I afterwards, or maybe it was during too, I was thinking, gee, this is so much better than laying in bed and doing my breathing, but moving really helped me.
Mm.
And sometimes I can go back to sleep, and sometimes I don't. But and it's okay not to get all that sleep sometimes. That's where I am with that.
You know, you just reminded me, in the last year of Ruth Dennison's life, I went down there 3 or 4 times. She was in Yucca Valley, north of Palm Springs, and she would call and she'd say, I think it's the time, Robert, I'm dying, come. And I'd hop on a plane and I'd spend a few days there. And she had a bedroom off the kitchen, and I slept in the living room. There was a pull-out bed sort of thing, and I would wake up, I think every night, and I'm so sorry I didn't take video of this, and I could have, and easily, but this never occurred. I had no idea it would end somehow. Anyway, there would be this creaking sound I'd wake up to. And here would be Ruth at 94 with her walker, doing walking meditation back and forth in the living room at 2 o'clock in the morning, or 3 or 4 or 5 or whenever it was. And she would go back and forth, back and forth. Being conscious, taking a step. With the walker creaking. I remember that sound so well. So, and most people never do walking meditation except as an adjunct. Maybe you walk at work, or maybe you're mindful walking to the car. But actually, to do a few minutes of walking meditation with some frequency is really powerful. It's one of the 4 great postures, said the Buddha: sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. And formal walking. Some people find they can get much more concentrated doing walking meditation than sitting. Well, goodness, it's almost 8:30. Lovely to be with you this morning. I said to Jen before I came out, she just got up when I was headed out the door for my commute. And I said, I'm so happy this morning. I'm already seeing the faces of some of my friends that are going to be meditating this morning. And then we get to be together. It's so cool. Melissa, are you driving? Nice to see you. How nice to see you. It's sunny here. Is it sunny here too? I haven't seen yet. Cool. Well, shall we sing our way out of here? You want to unmute? Ready? May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Put your hands on the wheel, Melissa.
I'm not driving. I pulled over to sing with you guys.
Goodbye, all beings.
See you tomorrow. Have a lovely day giving away flowers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lots to be had.
Thank you. Okay, everyone.
Bye all.
Bye bye, everybody. What a cute little girl, Denise.
Yeah, it was my birthday recently, so I decided to that was in honor of my birthday.
Look at the joy on that face. I mean, that is real. I can hear the giggle. Makes me teary, actually, when I look at it carefully.
She posted a picture of herself as a child.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
honestly, it's it was my 41st birthday, so I figured I needed to remember to love my little self.
Uh-huh. You don't look 41. All right, gotta go. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, y'all.
Well, dear friends on Facebook, YouTube, thanks for being here.